Look at that.
Hey,
Hey,
everybody.
welcome everybody. I know many of you might be disappointed that you're not watching a bunch of people run around a warehouse and throw shit in a box, and even though it's not your box. But we are, it's 5 o'clock Central Standard Time on the Reaper Twitch channel. And Jason and I are very proud, very honored, very elated to have the sculpting extraordinaire, the the one-handed maverick. So what does that say? The one
I don't
marvelous
think it says
maverick.
one-handed maverick.
It's so small I couldn't read it on the screen. He has two hands. Um, Trey Manor. Round of
Thanks for
applause for
I
Trey
inviting me.
said
I
Manor,
the
really
please.
appreciate it.
ingenious maverick
The
Trey
ingenious.
Very,
Manor.
The ingenious
very
maverick.
honored by the high praise. It's
Yes.
very, very, very generous. Thank
Sorry I limited you to just one hand.
you. Well, got to have
Yeah.
challenges.
No,
You can
better.
sculpt with either hand. If you were ever limited to
Yes.
one hand, you're already ready to roll, right?
Yeah, man. I
Ambidextrous
don't know what I'd do
sculptor.
without both of them.
Well,
I
sometimes it
did
makes.
actually try learning to sculpt left-handed once because I wanted to try to see if I could figure out a way to get perfect symmetry by using alternating which hand was holding the tool to always
Yeah.
repeat the same angle, but it was a total lost cause.
My guess
It
is you
never
didn't have
came
perfect control. You didn't have bilateral control, did you?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's still probably better than anything I could do.
All right.
well, I don't know.
Hey,
I've seen that. Go, sorry.
oh, I wanted to jump right in and get something right off the table. Sorry, I forgot the counting. Um, how do you do this again? Five?
No, three, two, one, go.
Right. I want to talk for just a second about Redbox Games. It's
Yes.
on
Great.
its way out. It's going away.
Yeah.
You're putting it under because you got some new stuff in the hopper. But in the meantime, what's going to
Yeah.
happen with Redbox Games? It's still up. I still see your store.
Ooh, that is a beautiful piece of work there, Michael.
Yeah, I
Love
did
that
this a
piece.
long time ago. You need to send me
Yeah,
your address and I'll send it
love
to
that.
you.
I'll do
It's
that. I'll
yours.
do that.
Yeah, send me your
Oh,
address.
thank you very much. I'll definitely treasure that. Put it in a nice, prominent
Yeah, but
position on my shelf.
I wanted to show off since Jason was talking about Redbox Games. Continue on with that. That
Okay. Yeah.
there's a ton of really cool miniatures in that line.
Thank you very much.
Tons,
Yeah.
tons and
I've
tons and
worked on it
tons.
for a long time. It's definitely been something that I have really loved doing. It's insanely gratifying. Yeah, and you
Hmm.
both know, when you create something and you see other people enjoy it, and it's been fantastic. I've really really been blessed. Uh, but times are changing a little bit. I felt like now was probably the best time to kind of roll with the punches and make whatever change was needed to be made. So uh, I've decided to discontinue all of my figures that I currently have in the line. That figure right there is one of them. That's Hostrom Hammersmite, one
Hmm.
of my first dwarves that I made for my own line, um, and kind of the scale standard for the dwarves. Uh, but uh, there's lots of forces at play: increasing metal costs, changes in postage costs, which have gotten really, really crazy here lately.
Hmm.
Uh, Changes in postal restrictions to other countries and all that stuff. I just thought, maybe this is the time that I need to do something different. So,
Well, you had a
Redbox
real
Games,
traditional. You had a real traditional pipeline. Uh,
yeah,
Very traditional. I mean, obviously you were on the internet, but you were using metal. You were doing spun
right,
cast metal, green putty
yep,
sculpting, the whole thing.
yep,
And I
yep,
think you're right. It's very tough for a one man operation right now. So, um, from what I understand, you're going to take this opportunity to kind of retool a little bit and explore the market and look at some of the new technology out there. So, I'm hoping
yeah,
that you know, the Redbox miniatures were just a prequel to the rest of what you're going to be doing.
I hope so too. You know, I will always have some part in the tabletop industry. I hope. I will always strive towards that. I'll always work on it.
Well, at least in our hearts, Trey.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping to actually make a product too. Right now, I'm not really sure what form that's going to take. It's not going to be metal miniatures. I just, you know, everything the way that it is, I just don't see how I can make that work.
Right.
I am trying to wrap my head around the digital thing. I love tangible sculpture. There's just something about the process I really, really, really love.
Absolutely.
But my eyes have deteriorated massively in the past year. I have 20/30 vision. So my left eye is really, really bad. My right eye is okay. But I don't have the same focal length that I used to. So, you know, there was a time when I could sculpt with a miniature just maybe 2 inches away from my nose at the most and see it just fine. And now if something's that close, I see double and it's blurry. I don't really see it properly until it's about, you know, a foot away from my nose. And at that point, I can't really see the details quite as well, obviously. So
Gene Van Horn is in chat, and he says, "Welcome to getting old."
No, thanks, Gene.
So does Bobby.
Yeah,
Bobby's right in there. Do you know Bobby's going to have 3 grandchildren by Christmas?
Is he really? Congratulations, Bobby.
That's something.
Awesome. All at once, or will this be the third one? Wow.
No pressure, Trey, but Gene's watching you. Bobby Jackson's watching you. Bob and Julie are in chat. Rhonda's in there.
Hey, Bob and Julie.
We got a lot of folks watching that you know off the top of your head. So
yeah,
Bryce is in there. Bryce
is in there. Yeah.
Well, we have lots of people in watching you. So
a lot of fans of Redbox games. There's a lot of sad hearts out there right now I'm seeing related to your announcement on Redbox. But so I would assume due to the wild popularity of the show that you're going to see a massive influx in orders, clearing out your stock at Redbox. So everybody, if you want something,
let's get Trey some damn glasses. That's the kind of sale you should have. Yeah. Obviously, he needs glasses. Yeah. The man needs some glasses. Go buy his stuff.
Or maybe a new
I have tried wearing glasses. I got 2 prescriptions. I have 1 prescription for distance and 1 prescription for up close. And the prescription for distance.
Hi, Ben Rodman.
Hey, Ben.
Says hi. I missed Ben. I'm sorry, Ben.
Hi, Rings Raccoon. There's a lot of people in here.
Sorry. Go ahead, Trey.
Oh, yeah. So the distance glasses, if anything is closer than 6 feet, it looks like it's a foot closer on the left than it is on the right. It's really bizarre. It's like
so we need glasses and arm extensions. So everyone get to Redbox Games. Trey's going to need a couple of Waldos, I think they're called, to put on the end of his arms, and some glasses and some binoculars and probably one of those recliner chairs and.
$6 million eyeball thingy. You know,
hey,
you can look through.
Look through the back of his head, and you can see him. If I can get a laser beam equipped, that would be all the better.
Yeah.
Well, but obviously, the digital stuff. Right. You know, I've seen some of your digital stuff, and it's starting to look a lot like Trey's stuff that I'm familiar with. So you'll get there. Just keep at it, and we'll be very anxious to see what's next for you.
Yeah, I've had a couple of test prints done, a couple from Ben and a couple from Andy, and I've been. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Had a couple of test prints done, a couple by Ben, a couple by Andy, and it's really been kind of bizarre to see them in actual scale in hand compared to what I'm seeing on the screen, because it's so difficult to judge the proportion and the scale and the depth of the detail just right on the figures. Of course, you're looking at them on screen, so they're as big as they need to be. And I keep a figure handy that I'll like hold it up to the screen, and I'll back the perspective away and turn it around to see if it translates. But it's not the same as natural light bouncing off of an actual physical model, so it's a little difficult to get accustomed to. But I am working on it. I don't want to not create things, because it's just what I love to do. It's even if I'd never made money making miniatures, I would still have been making miniatures.
Yeah.
I just really, really love doing it.
When I first met you, you showed me some notebooks, and they were filled with, I guess you'd call it writing, and a lot of really top end sketches, as far as I was concerned.
Well, thank you.
And I think I could see your passion at that point. And I think the medium is just the intermediate part. I mean, it's your creativity that people are buying, so or that are wanting to see. So I think it's great that you're hooking up with some new technology, and it'll help you with the your glasses and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
getting them in hand is definitely important. Having
all you guys have always been so encouraging. It is really, really nice having friends that can kind of prod you in the right direction if you're not going in the right direction. And I certainly appreciate y'all's patience with me while I've been struggling through the digital thing.
Well, that's just been, I think that's an ongoing thing. I mean, we were taught by Julie and Sandy and Bob and any number of fantastic green putty sculptors. So we just keep passing it along, I think, is the idea. Chris Oliver 74 from the chat asks, have you considered doing busts?
Actually, I have. That is something that I've thought a lot about. I've thought about doing some slightly larger scale stuff, because I can still see that pretty well.
Sure.
It's something I'm considering, but I love making little miniature guys. Like, I really love the tiny stuff.
Yeah. Well, good on both counts.
Yeah. I'd actually really like to make a pair of bookends, and like, I know it's crazy, but I'd love to cast them in bronze, like
sure.
have a themed bookend set. I've had all kinds of different ideas, like dragon skull, or
I'd like
cool
to see
stuff
that.
like that. Yeah, I just haven't gotten around to actually making it. Christy's always prided me about actually doing something with the ideas that I tell her about.
Yeah, well, I have 3 or 4 books, and they could use bookends. So I think I'd really like that. I think Michael even has some books, don't you, Michael?
Yeah, I try to avoid reading books, but I do have a few.
Yeah.
I think one new craze that is new to me. It might not be new to everybody, but the book nook thing that you see on YouTube a lot, where people make like these really cool little book nook insert things.
Tom Taggart.
I want to give my hand a shout out for that. Huh?
Yeah,
that's cool.
Do you know Tom Taggart? He's the first guy I saw doing those book nooks. He did a lot of stuff for some of the DC stuff. He does a lot of physical sculpting that winds up on the cover of comic books.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, so Doom Patrol, the run of Doom Patrol that came out probably in the late 90s had a bunch of his sculpts on it. So I'll send you a link. You should look him up, because I have a bunch of his sculpting, and it's wonderful stuff.
I fell out of comic books. I love the X-Men. Used to collect that a lot, and I fell out of it after the Siege Perilous storyline, and I just never did go back and pick it up serious. I'd get an issue here and there, and read it, but I never did really get back into it. I have no idea why. That storyline just turned it off for me. I don't know.
So So what are you working on, Michael?
I am working on a piece for ReaperCon. It's Barty,
Really
right,
cool.
Jason? Sculpted by
Yep.
Jason Weeby himself.
Ooh.
The actual
yeah.
Barty, Bartholomew
Yeah,
Red.
this is Captain Barty. And then I have a Sir 4 scale by comparison. So he's a big dude. He's a big chunk.
Yeah, that is a big dude.
He's super awesome. But yeah, I'm trying to finish him up because ReaperCon's just around the bend. I wanted to also, we didn't get a chance to talk about this yet for those who are familiar watching the show. Trey, yours is in the mail. Justin's going to be mailing you a Poke Tool. But here's our show exclusive. Now, Trey, you might not even know this. This is a show exclusive. The only way to get this is to win it on the Crow's Nest or, like you, appear as a guest. And, and our guest list is long. And we're just very flattered, of course, to have you on.
That was the first thing Trey asked me when I asked him to be on the show. He said, do I get a Poke Tool? I said, yeah, you get a Poke Tool.
Damn right. But for every 3 subs, and everybody put in #free in chat, every 3 subs will give away a Poke Tool. So maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 8 or 10. Depends on how that goes. So that's what we're doing today.
I put the word out on the Redbox Games Facebook page. So hopefully y'all get a few new people checking y'all out.
Yeah,
I know. I hope so. Bob and Julie, I tasked. I can't say the word, but anyways, I asked a certain art director if he would mail you a couple. I know a secret, and I'll text you the secret on how to get that to happen afterwards. I don't want to say it on the air because that secret will only be a secret at that point.
Yeah, you open that, we're gonna all be in trouble.
We're all in trouble. But yeah, Trey, we always kind of work on a miniature while we're talking. It's kind of like Paint Club, or like when we have our little artist con, we're just hanging around doing stuff. So, so that's what we're working on this time. I wish
I'd been better prepared so I could actually have something going to show off. I have no idea. I'm very, very new to this process. So, but I appreciate
Remember this guy?
Oh,
this
yes.
is an old Trey Manor bugbear.
I had so much fun making that thing.
Dude, these are so cool. And Bobby Jackson's been ripping you off. I don't know if you know that or not. He's been.
No, I think he's been doing a great job.
Here's the next iteration.
It looks really good. So that's a digital one?
That's a digital one.
Made digital?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that?
I mean, it's a
Michael,
really close match.
Is that a Bones USA as well, or is that a Metal Master?
This is a Metal Master from Ben.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I have one that I did completely finish. I think it was May figure. This was Bobby's his Bugbear Captain.
Ooh,
and the other ones.
That's a good one.
So, yeah.
Yeah, they fit right in with Trey's just perfectly. I mean, there's no reason you couldn't have all of Trey's and all of Bobby's right in there together. So
right, totally. But yeah, this guy, I went into my back files and found him. Your Bugbears, a lot of your stuff, but your Bugbears and your Orcs in particular, what you did for Reaper, were some of my favorite.
And Gnolls.
Stuff.
Don't forget
the Gnolls.
Goblins.
Right.
Yeah, those were a lot of fun too. Yeah, those were a lot of fun.
Yeah, when I was. Go ahead.
And this one.
Yeah.
That's my favorite right there.
Yeah. This was such a fantastic piece. I just did this for myself, and when I was just trying to.
That's a great paint job.
Get my chops in place. I was just trying to. I think there were some other reference photos, some other miniatures people that painted. I think at the time, Confrontation was really big, so I was kind of trying to copy what they were doing, and just great personality in the face and the eyebrow and the smirk on his face, and it's really good classic piece. And both
you did a great paint job on it.
Oh, thank you. This thing is probably at least 2008, if not sooner. I would imagine.
I think so.
Yeah. And then my favorite Trey piece that I've done is this guy. And the reason why
finishing that guy. Sorry, go ahead.
No. This guy, he won me a Sophie trophy,
Yeah, sure did.
and
I
I
think
remember it was my. Go ahead.
I was going to say I think you were actually finishing that guy uh, when we met at that ReaperCon.
Hmm.
It may have been my first or second ReaperCon. First, I think.
It's 2008. Because I had the Sophie
Yeah,
that has
yeah,
2008 written on it. If that was your first one.
yeah.
And I remember, and I told this story with Jason because that same year I painted a couple of Jason pieces, and you two were standing
Uh,
next to each other, and I hadn't met you before. I mean, I think
uh,
I'd showed you this piece while I was kind of going, but I never had a real conversation. But I remember being all giddy and saying, "Yeah, these are my entries, and I actually won something with these." And both you and Jason were very encouraging at that time because that was really outside of me going to the little Colorado conventions. That was my first real
uh,
convention, my first real kind of win of
yeah.
anything. So yeah, it was really cool. He's a
You're a very
fantastic figure.
talented guy.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate that. That's not why I'm showing him off. I'm trying to show you off more than anything.
Oh,
But but where was I going? But yeah, all of these figures are still in the Reaper back catalog if you want to pick them up online. I'm not sure. I know all of them are at least in metal, but I think most of them have gone on to bones if you're more attuned to bones. But the metal figures are really good too. Great face. Not a generic face by any means, but a lot of personality in the beard and the nose and
thank you.
everything too. So yeah, love it, love it, love it. Yep.
Yeah,
One of my favorite
at the
things
time I
about
was.
Trey's sculpts is the way the weight acts on the feet. They
Mm,
always they always look like they belong right where they're standing. I mean,
Hmm.
the
thank you.
weight comes right down onto that floor, or however
Hmm.
he's got it posed. You can tell that's exactly the position that's balanced and comfortable for that miniature.
Hmm.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I that's always something I actually felt like I struggled with, but I'm glad that it comes across well because it was always something that I really, really wanted to get right. And that's actually been one of the hardest things for me to get right in digital is just creating the illusion of gravity and the illusion of weight.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
You
there's
know,
no weight
that,
to it. I mean, there is, I
right.
suppose, at some
Yeah.
molecular level, electronic level, but it's not like having putty in your hands. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, you can't like take it and like stand it on its feet and see if it wobbles or anything like that. But it's posing has been a big hurdle for me in ZBrush, and of course the pose is the distribution of the weight on the figure. So that's
Yeah.
something I'm always kind of experimenting with, and I tend to fall into these rabbit holes whenever I'm working digitally, moving around a digital armature, just constantly, and can't
Oh,
ever
that
make my
never
mind
happens
up.
to any of the other of us. We never have that problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
isn't Gene or Jason or Bobby helping you out on, getting you over these hurdles? Or are they just ghosting
I
you?
have, I have no. They have always responded to me every time I have reached out, and
Yeah.
so like I'll get into these modes where I'll get really obsessive about digital, and so I'll reach out and I'll get pointers from here and there, and then I'll go and I'll kind of contract into my own little world and just work for weeks, usually on the same project with not a whole lot of actual progress. And then typically what would happen is I would get frustrated with something and I would pick up my putty and wire and I'd start sculpting, tangibly. And
Hmm.
that has gotten harder and harder to do and less rewarding as my eyes have gotten worse and worse and worse. I've sculpted I don't know how many figures to full completion, only to look at them under magnification and
Hmm.
see flaws and problems that just made them totally unacceptable. I just swept them into a box, and uh, once I really started to kind of figure out digital, it's really really difficult to look at my hand sculpts the same way. because the
Yeah.
surfaces are not as regular, they're not as smooth, the edges are never as consistent and fine or straight. It's so easy to just create a volume and move it around just the way you want it to, and never have to worry about sticking your thumb on it or hitting it with
Yep.
a spray motion with the tool.
See, you're kind of liking it around the edges a little bit, aren't you?
I am, yeah, I am.
Yeah.
It has regrown on me.
Yeah.
So
Well,
now I just
you've always been a stickler with your own work, especially to get it just right. And I know that you've got a picture in your head that you're trying to match all the time. I don't
yeah,
always
oh
have
yeah.
that. A lot of times, I'm just kind of free floating around. But I've always admired the precision with which you approach something, and the fact that it usually doesn't come off of your table and into general public without it being run through your own personal approval.
Sometimes to its own detriment or my detriment.
Well, I
But
wasn't going to
yeah.
go that far, but
Yeah, yeah, it's certainly been good and bad in a lot of ways. I wish that I did riff a lot more than I do. Like your sculpts to me have always been so much fun to look at. It kind of makes sense that you're kind of just having fun with it and letting it evolve according to its
yeah,
own will.
yeah, I
So
that's my process is like that. Um, I was wondering about what you find for a good source of inspiration, or what really fuels your fire when you sit down to a
mm,
blank sculpture.
well, it's hmm, a lot of
Do
the
you always
time
sketch it
I
out ahead of
will.
time?
Not always. Sometimes I
Okay.
do. It really depends on what it is. Typically, I'll I will get an idea for one specific element of a figure, like a piece of equipment or a facial expression or a garment or a weapon or something like that. And the idea tends to evolve around that. Um, Sometimes I'll just want to do a particular pose and I'll find a collection of items to put onto that pose, and then there's the figure. Other times, I've got specific characters in my mind that I want to create. Like, typically, whenever I made my adventurer figures, I would sit
Uh huh.
down uh, with a notebook and I would basically create. Do you remember the old NPC stat lines in the old D&D modules that would be in the
Oh,
back of the
sure. Yeah,
module?
absolutely.
Yeah, I would write one of those out, and then that would become the character. It would just kind of, the name would be the first thing I would figure out, and then say, okay, well, this name is this a human? Is this a dwarf, an elf, fighter, wizard, whatever? And I would just go down the line, and you know, so I would basically, when I was going to make a release of figures, they were typically a party in my mind. Each one of them had a specific job within that group, and I would just go from there. Sometimes I would kind of have a few in one release that went specifically with another release that I just
Mm-hmm.
never could finish all of them in time. So I did that for a long time, and then I started thinking that I needed to make uh, rank and file figures, and I got kind of lost in that whole effort, which was a little different for me because I didn't have a wargaming or skirmish gaming background. My
Sure.
background in gaming was always role playing, uh, so yeah, I would kind of come up with a theme for a unit and try to make a group of guys that would kind of fit that, or a group of gals, or whatever, or goblins, or whatever happened to pop into my head at the time. Uh, and then, I'd say in the past, well, so the last set of adventures I made was in a year ago, 2 years ago. I think it was a year ago. I made a group of English adventurers, and was really just kind of trying to come up with something that would work with like various small scale miniatures agnostic rule sets. Can I say the actual ones, or is that
Sure.
an okay?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, like Rangers of Shadow Deep and Frostgrave and stuff like that.
Cool.
So, yeah, it's sometimes I'll see something somewhere that I really like, or I'll not see something that I'm looking for in a group of other figures, and I'll think, oh, I need to make that figure that'll fit in that slot, and so then I just go from there.
What's the most absurd thing that kicked off a miniature design for you? That you can talk about. I don't want any.
Well, you know what one of them is probably the most absurd, but yeah, I won't talk about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that the thing at ReaperCon that time when you were sculpting? We all
Yes,
were
it is.
sculpting very unique thing, and that shall not be named.
Yes, that would be that
Okay.
one. That is
Okay.
by far the most bizarre brief, I guess.
But I mean,
you could
that
say
launched
we
an
had.
actual miniature, like a production piece for you that just came to fruition because of something you just saw and took a fancy to.
One of my most popular figures that I ever made is a tiny little halfling thief, and he's in a cloak and a hood, and the only thing you can see is his face, and he's got a dagger up by his front. That piece was just made to do something with a bunch of putty that I had on hand, or not a bunch of putty, but just a little bit, and I didn't want to throw it away, so I was like, well, I'll just make a little halfling thief guy, and I totally did not expect it to be successful at all, but that thing sold like crazy. I mean, it was very, very popular. So I guess that would kind of fit the bill. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I can think of.
I once saw an advertisement in a airport, and it was an elephant riding a surfboard. And I think it was an insurance company ad or something, but it was a very realistic elephant, not standing up, not a bipedal elephant, but an actual elephant riding the surfboard. And it became a miniature. I'm not going to say which one, because it never was an elephant and there never was a surfboard. But it led me to this miniature that has always been very popular. But putty catchers are also a very good way to do things like that, like you're talking about when you have a little extra left over. I do miss that part about digital where there's not a putty catcher, but every so often you catch an angle of a sculpt you're working on and you take a snapshot of it for something that you're going to do later, because it just inspires you to do something different, or two figures meld kind of together if you're working on more than one figure in the environment. Sometimes they play off each other in a way that becomes something else.
I have yet to try anything where there's more than one figure in an actual piece. Like everything that I do is just one character in the space, and that's it.
I mostly just do it for workflow reasons.
Oh, okay.
You know, if I'm doing three of one thing, I pose them all and get them all up there and just keep working on them, because I can't focus. I have this thing where I can't focus on one thing for a long time. I like to have two or three going at the same time. It's called something, but I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah, I try to focus on one thing until I'm done with it if I can, but I often fail at that and totally abandon whatever it was I was working on and start working on something new all the time. It's like the new shiny thing grabs my attention and I run with it.
Yep.
Yeah. So
well, I really selfishly hope that you pursue the digital angle, because I want to see more tray menus out there, because you do have a certain flair to them. So your voice
Thank
definitely
you.
speaks within your miniatures. It always has, and even with Redbox, and but then to go digital, and then scale isn't an issue at that point. It could be
Yep.
Yeah,
whatever it
that's
needs to
true.
be, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind of
that's
cool.
true.
Yeah.
Um,
Couple of
I
tweaks
That's
like,
and you can
something.
do a larger piece.
yeah,
Yeah.
I like the idea of the bus tray. I mean, whoever said that in the beginning, that's a
Yeah.
really interesting idea. I challenge all of them to create busts. I know Gene's working on one for ReaperCon. Julie had some great busts that were part of this last Kickstarter, which are now have
You.
been holding up Kickstarter fulfillment. So go ahead, Trey.
Yeah. You paint a lot of busts, don't you?
I
Or you
do.
used
I
Goes
to?
the
read.
bus. There goes the bus.
I
Not the
read.
bus. The bus. Run over Julie. Way to go, Michael.
Yeah, I didn't. The bus hasn't been out yet, and that was a nice, kind
You were
bus.
firing it up, saying that her busts are now causing the shipping delays. Good Lord.
I said they were fantastic busts, but they did inadvertently cause this
Oh,
shipping
okay. I'm
delay
glad you got
since
inadvertently
it
in there.
wasn't Julie's fault. I mean, she
No,
isn't
obviously it wasn't.
responsible for filling the containers in China and putting them
That's
on the
true.
boat.
That's
Not
true.
that we know of, but yeah, I a lot of painters, I think, Trey, love to paint busts. It's great painting the smaller figures, but just to go free and loose, and
Yeah.
I hate painting feet. And so
I hate sculpting them. So
There you
if I
go.
can paint,
Footless
yeah.
miniatures. Trey
Footless,
Manor,
yeah,
Michael
yeah, there
Proctor.
you go. Yeah, that's a great name actually. Yeah, it's
Right.
not so much the feet that I hate sculpting; it's toes that I really hate
Yeah.
trying to sculpt.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
Yeah. So
they don't
even
bother me so
especially if
much
you
on-
leave them to the end, it's like,
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
want to do
yeah,
those damn
yeah.
toes.
Man, I do that with everything I don't want to sculpt. It's always the last thing on the figure, and I have to force myself to do it.
Same thing with
Used
painting.
to
Same thing.
really,
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
save
It
the
is.
worst for
You always
last.
paint the parts that you love the best, and you save the
Yeah,
last parts for till the end, whether it's feet, and it's always the feet for me. I got to
Maybe
where I
start with
started.
the bare feet. Start with
I
the
did.
feet
I'll,
next
I'll
time.
paint the face generally, and then I will go, especially if I will paint the feet and just get it over with, and then I can go back to
yeah,
the rest of the figure, and at least I'm still fresh at that point.
So
So
what's the
yeah.
dessert part of the figure, Trey, for you and Michael? For you, what's the
wait,
dessert part of the figure?
wait. But I wanted to say what Bobby said. Go digital, Trey. I'll send you my toe brush.
Hey, that'll probably help. I bet he has one,
Yeah,
doesn't he?
yeah.
Yep.
No,
Yep.
he probably does. He has all brushes. I mean, he just
Yeah.
plugs and plays them all together at this point. You
He
can
doesn't
tell.
even use stylus at this point. He just punches
No,
buttons.
yeah, it's the mailing in. It's the mail it in function.
Pretty soon he'll
So,
just have a little microphone that he speaks into, and it just
yeah.
breathes into existence.
Yep. Like I said, we're all working till we can just be a head in a jar.
What was your question,
Yeah.
Jason? I'm sorry.
What's the dessert part of the figure for you guys?
Go ahead, Trey.
For me, probably the face, or it depends on the figure. Most of the time, it's the face. Sometimes it's the muscular anatomy. I really like sculpting like muscular anatomy, whether it's like arms, legs, torso, uh, back, whichever. It's all what I'm
So
working
you
on.
have dessert in the middle of the figure, is what you're saying.
Pretty much, yeah, the whole
Okay.
way through. It's typically, I tend to sculpt. I tend to sculpt almost from the armature up. Like, no, I don't bulk out very much, or I stopped bulking out,
Mhm.
and then letting that cure. I would just put the volumes on there and just start sculpting it as I was able to. There's certain aspects that I couldn't do that way, but before my eyesight started to go, I would sit down in the morning with with wire and a cork, and I would work until I was finished with the figure in the afternoon. And sometimes that worked out well, sometimes it didn't. So, there were a lot of figures that I made in that period that just went straight into the trash. Or actually didn't actually go straight into the trash. They wound up in a bin that is sitting out in my garage at the moment, full of tons and tons of little figures. But
how about you, Mike? What's your dessert?
A giveaway of the day. For every 3 subs, we'll be giving away an exclusive Pokey tool from the Crow's Nest. There's been some questions. So the only place you can get it, can't buy it. It's produced by Reaper, but this is the only place you can get it. Sculpted by, hopefully she's recovered from the bus driving over her, Julie Guthrie, and lettered by her husband, Bob Rodolphe. Crow's Nest on the back. And the only way to get it is either A, be a guest on the show, which Trey will be the proud recipient of a Crow's Nest Pokey tool, or win it on the chat. Oh, woo! But my go-to, woohoo! I'd have to echo Trey. It's kind of dependent on the figure. If it's a baddie, if it's a monster, it's usually the body and the textures. That's kind of one of the reasons it's drawn me to it. If it's a character, generally the face, I want to get that established first and make sure that that's going to breed well. And if it's a smaller miniature character, it's kind of deciding the cloak pattern or any freehand, or I'll usually get kicking on any freehand right away and make sure I can get that working. Because if I do everything else and save the freehand for the last and the freehand totally sucks and I wasted all that time painting the figure, I want to make sure I can dial in the freehand, and then I'll just clean up everything else at that point. So like this guy,
you look for figures.
Go ahead, Trey.
Do you specifically look for figures that have a lot of opportunity for freehand, or do you just find opportunities on the figures you like?
Yes. Yes to both. I do.
He's not used to questions from the guests.
Yeah.
Oh, he left. Oh my gosh.
To answer Trey's question.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
And I do a shameless plug for Reaper yet again. This is the July figure.
I like that.
Sculpted by Bobby Jackson.
Wow.
But yeah, when this figure came to me, all I saw was areas for freehand.
I can see that. Yeah.
And it was just a lot of fun. Now, this piece
is a really cool figure.
Jason sculpted. Yeah, that Jason sculpted to me. There's just so much going on. I do have, I guess, freehand in a way, and all the textures and everything that I've added. But freehand would overcomplicate everything that's going on. I don't want the freehand to distract from all the
he's
details
got hagfish
of
falling out of
the
holes in his body, and he's all bloated and gross. So there had to be a lot on that figure, unfortunately.
Yeah, not that I'm saying that Bobby's sculpt is more simplistic than Jason's. I would never imply that. But this one just had
mine's
more
twice
stuff
as
going
big.
on.
It had to have twice the amount of stuff on it.
True. Yeah.
Jason does complication really, really well. You don't have to guess at anything on there. Like, you can tell what it is.
That's a nice way of putting it.
Jason's great at complicating things. Yeah. He's a complicated person, and he overcomplicates things. That's kind of why we have him on the show. He's
like a tapestry.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah. Like an onion. What? That's different. That's a different analogy. Oh,
that's layers.
Wet. That's layers. There's a question on my wet paper towel. That's just to help control what's on the brush and make a point. That's all it is. And if it's wet, then you're not getting the little hairy stuff from the paper towel, hopefully. You're not getting too much on your miniature. That's really the only reason. So, thank you, Untamed Painter, for your question. Go ahead, Jason. What else you got?
Someone asked real quick, is that the Sons of Bardi from the Kickstarter? And what this is the captain of the Sons of Bardi. The Sons of Bardi are in the Kickstarter that they're packing right now, but the captain is available in the bundles for ReaperCon coming up.
And he's in the Brine Wind bundle. If you just buy the, or What's the best purchase of all the bundles for Kickstarter? Trey, we
Well,
do
the
a lot
mega
of
bundle,
commercials
of course.
for the show. Yeah, the
You
mega
got to have a
nice.
mega
Yeah.
bundle. You
And
got your
Perfectly
mega bundle
perfect.
ordered yet, Trey?
Oh yeah, Trey's got
I
two
have
coming.
not actually.
True.
No,
I have not
sorry.
actually.
Supposed to play
I
along.
need
We
to
got
do that,
till I
though,
think you
because-
got till the end of July, beginning of August, or something to order it. So
Yeah.
might
I
want to
will
go
have
check
to
it
do
out
that.
on the website.
Yeah,
Hey,
you know, my
Justin.
Oh.
Do we how many subs do we have so far?
Let me see here. We have 3, so we're giving away 1 Poke Tool right now.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Let's get some more subs in and we can give away some more Poke Tools.
So
Go
what
ahead.
were you
I
saying, Trey?
interrupted.
I was going to ask you what is your dessert on a piece
Ooh,
of work?
Good turnaround. I like
My
that.
dessert?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's the details. Sometimes it's a companion animal. Very often
yeah, I
it's the
can see
face.
that.
Sometimes I just kind of Greek in the face until the end of the process. Actually, the expression on the face is probably the very last bit of tweaking I do.
Really?
And very often I will save that to last. I've been experimenting with doing the face first. It seems to make everything else go longer, though, so I'm not sure I'm going to keep with that. But
Yeah.
It doesn't speak to you and help tell you how to finish the rest of the sculpt?
yeah,
It
it
doesn't do
doesn't.
that?
It doesn't. No, because the face is kind of in my head, and it's the last thing to come out. I don't know how that works, but
Oh,
I don't question
that
it.
seems-
I can't question it, man. It's just a process.
no.
It's organic.
I like to paint the face first, and then in my mind, maybe it's helping me. It tells me how to paint the rest. If I'm struggling, I'll say,
there you
"Hey,
go.
why don't you take
Yeah.
that blue?" Kind of thing, you know.
So
That's
you
what I
have
imagine.
auditory hallucinations along with everything else, is what you're saying.
Yes. Yes.
Fantastic.
Hey man, I want to have
Fantastic.
some paint my feet. Don't paint it like shit like you normally do. Yeah.
Man, you got to get a better inner voice if all it does is say
Swear at
bad
you.
things about you like that.
Well, sometimes it says, "Oh, you did a decent job that time." So the bus is running over me and my own head most of the time. All right, Dan, good
Yeah, I know
job.
that.
3 more subs. We're up to 6, so that's 2 Poke
Thanks,
Tools.
Dan.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah.
Awesome.
Dan has said he's
yeah.
a fan of your work as well, Trey. I mean, I think a lot of
Yep.
these people
Oh,
are.
thank
Yeah.
It's
They're not just saying it for the Poke Tools.
I was looking. I had sent Justin a bunch of pictures. When I was looking at your work, it was like just walking through memory lane. I kept going, man, I remember that guy. I remember that guy. I remember that guy. And
Yeah.
I even dug out some of the figures to have a look at them because I just hadn't looked at them in a while. You get busy and things get
Justin,
packed
that's
up
your cue.
But
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was just rambling along with you. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh well, I don't know if
Hey,
Justin's.
Justin. There we go.
Here's some stuff.
Oh, yeah,
we just kind
yeah.
of pulled off some random work. This is an interesting piece. Tell us about this piece.
That was a lot of fun. That one is one that started off. The goblin holding the book was the first thing. That was the idea that popped into my head. And I don't remember if I told Ron about the goblin and he told me make a wizard to go with it, or if I said I was making a wizard to go with the goblin. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed making that figure because the goblin's not real happy with his position in life. But yeah, I was actually listening to the Police song "Wrapped Around Your Finger," which is one of my all-time favorite songs. You
Yeah.
familiar with that one?
Yeah,
Totally.
So
Love that
the
song.
goblins got
we can't
designs
play
for
it
the ring
because
and the
of
wizard's
terms of
finger.
service, and we might
Oh,
get in trouble. But
Yeah.
don't even hum it. Not even a few bars, because we don't want to get in trouble. But, no. Now this one you actually share a sculpting credit with Jeff Valley. Is that correct?
Do I? Well, yeah, I didn't make the apprentice. I just made the goblin and
Okay.
the wizard.
That's what it
Yeah.
was then. So Jeff made the apprentice. Jeff is a old time sculptor. I haven't heard from him for a while, but he went into even a greater commercial area, I think, of sculpting. He was I believe he was working for Coca-Cola for a while doing some of their things.
Really?
But
Did you say Jeff Valent?
Jeff Valley. Yeah.
Valley. Okay.
Valley.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's Jeff Geoff. So
Okay.
no, that's a wonderful piece. What else we got? We got anything else? I mean, there's so much out there. If you look up Trey Manor on the Reaper website or Redbox Games or.
All right, that's good vamping, Jason. Justin, what's next? Justin.
Poor Justin's been working real hard. Oh, there's the there's
That's
the whole
awesome.
thing.
Yeah.
Yep. Did
Yeah,
you
the
do
look
the
on that
table?
wizard's face.
I didn't do the table. No, I only did the wizard and the goblin. And yeah, that right there, their bases are actually fit together the way that I'd sculpted them. When I did that, I was working in Tamiya QuickType putty.
Oh boy.
That stuff, yeah, it had like a 20-minute. It had a 20-minute time window that you could work with it before it just completely hardened to the point that you couldn't do anything with it.
Did that
So
stuff
I was
stink
doing
too?
a lot of. Yeah, really, it was pretty strong. It was probably toxic too. I'm not sure if it was or not. But,
I'd hate to voice an opinion, but if I had one, that'd be it.
Yeah, it was the yellow stuff. That now up until the point that it hardened, it sculpted great. Like it was an awesome medium to work in because it had no memory at all. So you pushed it and it stayed put. It wouldn't flex or move out, and you could get really, really good sharp edges with it. The downfall was that it set really, really hard, really fast. And I think most of the originals that I sculpted in that were pretty much obliterated in molding, maybe. I think I may still have a few of those. But this set was done in that putty. The Kagunk Ogre was done in that putty. And the two-headed Etten was done in that putty. And there were a few others that were done in that putty too. Oh, the little goblins that Reaper produced were done in that putty as well. Yeah.
Malin, you're gifting Reaper subs, and thanks for the 5. We appreciate it. I don't do a great job watching chat, so sorry to interrupt, guys.
Now, when they sub for this show, it's actually for the Reaper Network. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. Jason and I don't see anything. Yeah,
no, we're not. We're not independent.
Delivery.
We're part of the Reaper channel.
Yes. Although, never mind. Go ahead.
Reaper's a great company.
Hey, Justin, let's hit us up with another photo, please. Boom.
There's my favorite again.
I think this was painted by Jen Kaufman, if I'm not forgetting. And the rabbit. I think the rabbit was sculpted by Gene.
Yeah, that's
looks like Gene's rabbit.
Yeah, it looks like Gene's. Look like maybe it's Gene's rabbit. Fantastic piece. Yeah, I love the
and that's Friar. What was his name? Friar Stone.
Yeah, Friar Stone. Yeah, that's.
If you want to just
what's his name?
Go into the Reaper website in the search bar. Just type in Manor, and all of his pieces will come up. I did it today just to make sure it was all there. This barbarian is super awesome. This guy almost ties in a lot with you went with your Redbox line a little bit. This speaks to me more.
Yeah, I used a lot of the same design elements on this guy that I did on my own barbarians. They just kind of work, skulls on strings and fur and spiky armor. Just screams.
That's a great battle rage pose.
Yeah. Bloodthirsty barbarian.
Sandra Gary sculpted the rabbit. Gene Van Horn sculpted the larger rabbit.
That was very good of Gene to tell us who the credit was for on that one. Thanks, Gene.
Yeah.
Sandra's rabbit.
Oh yeah. Another barbarian.
That one I did kind of as it was going to be an independent project, and I don't remember why I never produced it.
That's got at least 3 kinds of putty on that, if not
Yeah, it
4.
does. Yeah. So the little yellow there, that's the Tamiya. There's some metal wire in the horns, and then there's some Tamiya mixed with green stuff here and there. Yeah, but it's mostly green stuff. Oh, and there's brown stuff on the axe.
A lot of your greens wound up being pretty much mixed media sculptures. I've seen a lot of brass bits in there, a lot of bare metal bits, several kinds of putty. I think probably some nose hairs here and there, fingerprints,
probably so,
trimmings, all sorts of
beard
stuff.
hairs. Yeah, totally.
Obviously beard hairs. Although I can't believe anything actually falls out of that. You probably have to comb it out.
That's how he made his armatures. He'd run out of the wire, and I'd watch him pluck hairs out of his beard and just start.
That's how he polishes the metal on the shields. I know that.
Exactly.
Smart Goblin. You can still purchase miniatures at redboxgames.com, but not for long. So you want to get in there and get what's left, because that's going to be it.
Yeah, the store was originally set to close tomorrow, but I've had a lot of people ask me just to hold it just a little further so they can get a paycheck. So it'll go to.
Well, now you've been on this show, you're going to have to keep it open longer than that.
It's going to go till when? How long? When is it shut down?
This doesn't even get on YouTube till next week.
Oh, really? Does it? Oh,
so you might want to keep it up a little bit longer.
Yeah,
get that money. Anyway, let's talk about this guy. Another one of my favorite expressions on this face.
Ooh. Thank you. This is another quick type sculpture right here. If I'm remembering right, it is. Actually, that may have been a green. Now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I always like making wizards because I like the really bony nose and the thick eyebrows and the bushy beard and long mustache, because for some reason to me it makes for a more expressive face. It's also why I like making dwarves as much as I do, because they've always got all those features. Every once in a while I would leave the mustache off because of something that they were, that I'd sculpted their face to emote in a certain way, and the mustache would just cover up too much of it. So I'd keep that mustache off there so you can see the open mouth. Sometimes
again, great understanding of weight in the way the folds are working on this one.
Thank you. I think I was trying to go for like a windswept kind of thing, not too much, but just a little bit.
Yeah. It's just a great figure all the way around.
Thank you.
Smart Goblin is making an order on the Redbox game site tonight.
Ooh,
yeah.
Thank you very much, Smart
so is Aaron. It looks like Kaporia.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, this is tremendous. Also.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun to make. Yeah.
Now the Reaper stuff will stay up on the Reaper site.
Yeah, it's out there forever.
Until they decide to kill the stock number. But
yeah, they still have Ed Pugh's and sculpts up there, so Trey stuff is guaranteed. Yeah,
I'm glad that one turned out to work as a single piece. I've always liked that particular pose, but I've always been worried that I can't remember if it was Bobby or Gene that was telling me that is the forbidden pose. I wanted to see if I
it's one of them. It's no 3-point stance, but it's pretty close.
Oh, it was the 3. Yeah. I don't think I ever did a 3-point stance figure. Yeah, I can see how that would
figure. It's great the way it worked out, but of course, Reaper does a great job on their mold making and casting. So.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Cool.
That one was I had forgotten about this guy.
Yeah, he's great. Tell us a little bit about how you imagine that mold plane working for that, because this is a one-piece figure. And there's some technical aspects of this that people probably don't really understand from looking at it.
I was hoping that the mold line would basically go up the edge of the silhouette that you're looking at right there and kind of come up the back over the top of the scabbard, and then go back towards the sword edge and follow the sword edge around, but I didn't really know if that was how they would do it, or if they would bury the sword into one half of the mold and put the mold line going over the top of the hood, and then back down on the other side over the quillins and the knuckles. But I kind of hoped it would work out in that way, so I tried to fill in the negative space under his arm on the inside,
Right.
where his chest is. And sometimes that's why I will use like fur or padded gambeson, because you can kind of fill out some volume with that, because it's not really supposed to be something that's real tight on the body of the figure. So like, as opposed to plate mail or chain mail or something that is very form fitted,
Sure.
gambeson is more forgiving in that matter.
Michael,
And
when you
fur.
see a fill behind, like in this figure, between the leading arm and the chest, there has to be a fill there for that to pop out of the mold. When you see something like that, what do you do paint-wise?
You mean underneath the two arms? Is that what you're
Do you
talking
paint
about?
it so it just kind of retreats even farther back into the
Yeah.
sculpt?
Well, it depends. Yeah, I will generally paint that even darker, maybe even into black, just so it hides back. Because sometimes there might be some issues with the casting per se, that it doesn't clean up as well as it was initially sculpted. There's still maybe some fill in there. So depending on if it's a metal, let's just say it's a metal figure, because that's the hardest to clean. You may not be able to get all that out of there. So I will paint that black. And if it's going to be a piece for a company or a gaming piece or whatever, I'll try to add some kind of texture in it. But if it's just something that's going to be a photograph, I'll just black that out and move on, because you're not going to ever see it in photograph. So you don't have to worry about it. So it depends. We've talked about it on the show. As I've gone on, I will definitely think, is this piece going to be seen in the real world, or is it just going to be a photograph? And you paint differently based on that, you can.
Right.
And depending on time and everything. But yeah, to me, I still, even though these are 3D things, I just like to think about this is in a 2D version when you're looking at it. And sometimes me flipping this miniature upside down and painting everything underneath, that's just a waste of time. You don't need to see that. You need to see it in its gaming. Like, this is the way he's going to be rocking on the table or whatever. That's what the big impact is going to be. So if I hide or even black out areas of non-interest, that's going to make what you guys do even more visually interesting.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Well, if you're looking up there, you're standing too close anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Get away from
Ron always called it the sell it angle, which I think makes a lot of sense. So it's the one angle that you're going to see it from the most that's going to have the biggest impact on the viewer when they look at it. And
the money shot. The money shot.
That's
you need to have.
Ron's got a big cruder.
Yeah, and it's definitely cool, and a lot of cool miniatures that I see, and I've seen Jason and all the sculptors do, is a piece will have 2 or 3 money shots potentially, but there will always be that one that's like, boom, that's the one. That's the one that reads the best, and that's the what you try to paint for and you try to photograph for. It's good to be thinking about that, especially if you want to show your stuff online, or hell, even you guys, the sculptors, like Trey, you're running your company. I mean, I'm sure you were sculpting for that money shot, and you knew that was going to be the prime picture for that miniature that you're going to sell it with, So
I when I sculpt, there are times where I'll just sit there and I'll hold the figure up to a light and just kind of slowly turn it, see if it has that look on that particular angle, or if I missed it or whatever. But that's always in the forefront of my mind, is there is a particular angle that I'm thinking it will be viewed at the most, or the one that I intend for it to be viewed at the most, because it's
Justin.
It is a 3. Sorry,
Justin, do you have a image in there called Ron Painted, or Ron's Painting, or something? Or is that too hard for you to get into the queue?
Let me see here. Assuming the names are the same.
It's Ron something, Ron.
Let me find it here.
There's not a lot with letters.
There it is. And while we talk about this, by the way, I'm going to go ahead and draw the names.
Ron painted or wrongly painted?
Ron painted.
Or
yes.
is it the same?
Yes, that's the answer.
It's the same? Okay.
Yeah, so Justin's going to draw some of the numbers, so make sure and get your hashtag freeze
get your hashtag freeze in.
Get your subscriptions if you got a second.
How many do we have?
We have 4.
Boom.
Ron painted
painted this?
On Twitter, on the Reaper Miniatures Twitter, the credit to this is given to Ron Hawkins as the painter.
That looks great.
What do you think, Rhonda? You're watching. I am a little suspect, but I'll give him credit for it. I love this piece, by the way. Yeah. Your Etten, which we haven't shown off today, your Etten was one of my favorite. I had painted it, and I was trying to find it, and I couldn't find it. I really, really always loved that piece. Your Etten was great.
I have too.
So if those aren't familiar with it and are watching, go on the Reaper website, type Etten in, and look for Trey's Etten piece. It's fabulous. It's fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Likewise, this piece is, you're right, this is very similar in feel to that Etten, I think.
Yeah, it is.
But
it totally
such a
is.
great pose, a lot of animation, a lot of weight to it again.
Especially
and with Ron's paint job, I mean, how can you go wrong? And this one's actually in the Reaper collection. I think
it is.
It's collection.
Cool.
It's numbered, so it's official. Yeah, it's definitely official. Yeah. I believe that Ron can. He just doesn't find the time to. So Rhonda confirms or adds her credence to this. Could very well be a Ron piece. We'll have to see.
Sidwey's mentioning that they backed a Kickstarter because you had great woman that was a big girl, Elspeth Halford of Gillingshire, traveling female mage.
Yes, yeah. That she was actually a lot of fun to make. I actually kind of like making figures that are not exactly. Trying to think of the right way to put it. They're
not all pinups.
Yeah, they're more like real people, like the people you would see doing this kind of stuff. Like not all the men are these, cheese cutter jawline and big muscled dudes. Some of them are kind of portly, some of them are ugly, some of them are kind of, scrawny. And to me, that makes for a fun character. Like I like the idea of the character that's just kind of not really a marketable hero, I guess.
Right.
I do like marketable heroes too. Don't get me wrong, but my favorite characters are usually the ones that are, less than ideal or less than.
Well, for characterization, I think they're far more interesting. Yeah. Far more interesting.
I identify with them better myself. So.
Yeah, I think we all do. I mean, not identify you with them, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Do you know how many Poke Tools we're giving away today?
Yes.
How many?
Giving away 4.
4. We're giving away 4 Poke Tools. Yes.
And trays.
Are you ready
and
to
Trey's
read
getting a
one
Poke Tool too. Yeah.
By the way, Michael.
Yeah. I am. Let's see me slaughter these names. Let's go.
Okay.
I want my Poke Tool.
Yeah. Well, Here we go. This is a fun tradition. Michael's going to read the names of the winners.
All right. Come on.
First one.
Poke Tool. Scubo Paints has been drawn for the giveaway. Moonglum Minis has been drawn for the mini giveaway for the Poke Tool. This thing. Oh my God. At Tanglebane has been drawn for the giveaway.
Atka Angelbane, maybe. Atka Angelbane.
That's good enough. Congratulations, Atka Angelbane. And then last giveaway is you pick these names on purpose. Ishan Loki. Ishan Loki. Whatever.
Ishan Loki.
Ishan Loki.
Is Han Loki?
You also Ishan Loki.
Maybe it's a question.
Yeah, is Hen Loki?
Yeah, I
Has
think it's
also
a
won.
question.
So there's our
That's a great
four
name.
winners.
So richly
Unfortunately,
layered.
Gene did not win. But Gene should have a Poke Tool coming, I believe. Gene knows the secret for getting a Poke Tool. He just hasn't exercised the secret for getting the Poke Tool. But anyways, congratulations, all that. We had a bunch of people watching today, and that's in no small part due to Trey being on. We had 993
Thank you.
viewers, Trey. That's because of you. I know it. It's not because of Jason and I. They could give a shit about us.
No, they can catch us anytime.
Yeah,
You guys are awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. It's good just to talk to you guys. It's been so
it's
long.
great seeing you, Trey.
Yeah.
I don't think I've
Yeah.
seen you for years, and
It's been years. Yeah.
I want to challenge Trey to get into the digital, to get going, because we all need to see, with all of the great feedback and everything on the sculpts, but on Redbox games, and to see that in digital, to see that being produced up in whatever format whatsoever, in plastic or metal or however it ends up being. I want to see more Trey.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
I'll
man.
help you any way I can, Trey, but I figure you're already pretty far down the road.
I can always use more help.
But if something happens in the future, and say I'm doing something wacky like teaching Michael how to sculpt in green putty on a Twitch stream, physical sculpting, I think
that's
I'd
a
like you to
disaster
drop
waiting
by
to
and
happen.
offer some encouragement there, if not some technique.
I would be happy to. I'd be honored to. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That would be a
Fantastic.
lot
We're calling those episodes, Trey. We're calling those episodes
What's that?
Teach the Moron How to Sculpt. That's what we're doing.
Now, Michael came up with that title. I wouldn't have used the word moron. So,
So yeah, we're that's coming down the pike. I don't know when, but soon. But yeah,
well, let me know, and I will happily contribute in any way I can.
Yeah, and you can. Yeah, it'll be a constant bus driving.
Acta Angel Bane
accident.
says they just placed a red box order, so
Boom!
Awesome.
You'll maybe know
you.
who that is once you see their order come through.
Right. I want to thank our viewers for doing that. For go search the site. You will find some cool stuff out there. There's no question
Thanks,
about
guys.
that.
I really appreciate it.
Super awesome stuff. Check it out.
And don't forget Trey's stuff on Reaper as well. There's
That's right. Yeah,
a lot of stuff there.
If you're only going to buy
even
3
some
things,
bones,
might
so
as
they're
well buy
not
4.
terribly expensive. If you wanna give Trey's a shot at painting them.
If you're going through Trey's site and you put 3 in the cart, you might as well add another couple while you're there.
Absolutely.
Just get it all.
Last chance to get them.
Last chance. And then they're going to be collector's items, and then we're going to get additional ones cast, and we're going to sell them under secret names on eBay.
Yep. His eyesight ain't getting any better, folks. So
no, it's not.
Look at it that way.
Really not.
Exactly.
Yeah. My hands are shaking.
He's got both hands still and both ears, but his eyesight.
Yeah, he does have both hands. I'm glad we managed to get that off. We kind of kicked it off wrong, saying he was a one-handed sculptor.
I started off, with the controversy, but we cleared it up.
I'm glad.
Hey, are we going to do a show rundown, Justin? Boom, look at that. It's up there because Justin doesn't want me to kill time screwing it up like I normally do. Monday through Friday is Ann doing Reaper Toolbox. I believe that's 11:30 Central Time when it starts. That's what it says on the screen. And then on Mondays, that just was yesterday, for those that are a little confused, sometimes I am, Beyond the Kit with Rhonda Bender. It starts at 2, and she's got a 2-hour show where we just get maybe an hour. And then Tuesdays,
space on the schedule is just as big.
Come on in.
I think they're throwing us a bone.
Come in. And then the Crow's Nest is on Tuesday. On Wednesday is the Miniatures Den with Luca from Italy. I don't know if he's on the second floor. I'm not sure. The Crafty Creative is on Wednesdays at 2. And then that little known show that they bribe everybody with giving away a bunch of free stuff like airbrushes and what have you is Reaper Live.
The flagship show, I've heard it called.
I'm not going to call it that. Reaperland is at 3 on Fridays with Brother Dave and John. That's a fun show. And then looks like this Friday is the House of X. And that's an airbrushing show with Aaron Lovejoy. it should start around 7 p.m. ish Central Time. And then Saturdays, she's still on Saturdays, the legendary painting platinum with Sadie. And why there is a Thanksgiving mouseling, we're still unsure, but it'll at least be right in a few months.
Actually,
so
send
that's
in
the
your
show.
suggestions, everybody. Let us know why you
Ah.
think there's a Thanksgiving mouseling.
That's a great point. Right. Yeah. All right.
That might be worth a
And,
pokey tool.
come in. But yeah, hey, Justin, yeah. Trey, you're awesome.
Yes.
Sexy beard.
Thanks,
Still
guys.
full. Yeah. Eyesight's going, but the beard's still there. Love
Yeah.
it.
Hang
yeah.
around for a minute after
Think
the
I'm trading
show.
one for the other.
Yes. And
Thanks,
don't hang up
guys. I
after.
really.
Don't hang up. Don't hang up.
Okay, no
we're
problem.
gonna go to black, and then you're gonna stay here. But thanks everybody for watching. See you next. Oh, no show next week. I'm just springing this on Jason. It's my 19th wedding anniversary with my wife.
Oh,
so
congratulations.
Congratulations. All
be
right.
here.
You know, I
right?
know you pretty well, and I'm shocked. 19 years.
I know, right? I know.
Boy.
I know. It's a
Good
lot of
job.
bribery that goes on. There's a lot of.
You know, your wife seems so
Yeah.
just level-headed and
She's way
logical
too
and
smart.
just intelligent. And
I know, and how
I
I've
guess
trapped her for this
one
long.
character flaw. She's got the one.
Oh, and it's a
thing.
big one. It's a big
Yeah.
one. It's a big
That's
one.
all right.
But no.
I'm glad you guys have
So,
been together for 19 years. That's tremendous.
Yeah. So thank you. Trey, you're awesome. Go check out Redbox Games.
Thanks, guys. You guys
check
are
out-
awesome too.
Yeah. And we're gonna see his digital sculpts here in the near future. So and his bus. He's doing a lot of bus too. Right? We just exclusive today. All right.
Yeah.
Now I have
Later.
to. So.
Now you have
Later, guys. Thank y'all.
Yeah.
Have a
Bye.
great night, guys.
Bye-bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
everybody.
Thanks, Justin.